9 months after buying our plot in Croatia, we came back expecting to see real progress. Instead, we found stone piles, unfinished houses, and a site we still cannot show properly. But behind this messy view, our project has moved forward in ways you cannot see. We finalized our house design with our architect, started preparing the Croatian project documentation and paperwork, researched local stone and kitchen, and traveled to Slovenia to walk through a real Marles house. Today, we are showing you what progress really looks like before the construction starts, and the questions we now plan to ask before critical work is hidden forever. This is our plot after 9 months. And honestly, it's not the clear update we hoped to show you. The temporary stone and earth pile from neighboring construction hides much of the ground. We filmed from the road, from behind the plot, and from the neighboring house. But the site is simply too abstracted to give you a full tour. So we want to show you what we actually achieved while the site itself remains in limbo. The biggest progress in our project has happened away from the site. From the end of April, we've been working closely with our architect on the design of our future home. Step by step, we discussed the layout, the room sizes, the flow through the house, the exterior appearance, and the decisions that have to work in real life. Now we have finalized the house design that will be used for the next stages of our Croatian project documentation, the idejni project, idea concept, and then the glavni project, or main project. Currently, our architect is preparing the required documentation for the permit process connected to our existing building permit. At the same time, we've been dealing with Croatian bureaucracy and paperwork. More details about that in episode 9. It's not the most cinematic part of building a house, but it is the work that makes everything else possible. The plot, the design, the permit situation, the technical documents, and the different professionals all have to come together before construction can begin. So, even though there is no foundation and no house on the land yet, this is where our real build is taking shape. We stayed in the apartment belonging to our future neighbors. That gave us a chance to introduce ourselves properly as their future neighbors. We spoke about the area, building locally, everyday practicalities, and their own experiences. And we came away with something very valuable, a real local connection. When you build abroad, you can research regulations, suppliers, prices, but you cannot replace local relationships. We also met the builder who is constructing the houses next to our plot. We asked about his plans and timelines, because his activity affects what is happening immediately around our land. The honest answer is that plans and timelines are still not fully clear. That is not necessarily unusual in a live construction project, but we want to make sure not to build our own plans around assumptions or verbal estimates. Looking at the neighboring construction made us realize that foundations are not just concrete in the ground. We took photographs of the construction and used AI to help us create a learning checklist. What should a homeowner understand, photograph, and ask about before this major stage is covered? For example, has the reinforcement been installed according to the structural drawings? Are pipes and other service penetrations in the right place? Who checks the work before the concrete arrives? And will there be clear documentation of what has been done? We will not inspect structural work ourselves. This is the role of the responsible engineer and site supervision. But we want to know enough to ask good questions and make sure the right checks happen at the right time. Waterproofing is one of the hardest parts to correct later. Once the ground is in place, you may never see those layers again. We want to understand what waterproofing system is specified for our site, how transitions and pipe penetrations are treated, and who confirms that the work is complete before it disappears behind soil and stone. Water also doesn't care where your plot boundary is, it follows the slope. So for us, drainage has to be considered together with the terrain, the future terrace, the pool, roof water, and the neighboring properties. Insulation is another stage where it looks fine is not enough. We need to understand not only which material is used, but whether it is continuous and correctly connected to the critical details. The places we want to pay special attention to are where systems meet: foundation to wall, slab to terrace, exterior stairs, doors, windows, and pipes. These are the places where gaps, moisture problems, or thermal bridges can begin. We are asking these questions because we want to make sure the product details are clear and the relevant stage is checked, photographed, and documented. We want one organized record of the build: drawings, specifications, delivery documents, inspection notes, and dated photographs. Because good documentation makes misunderstandings easier to prevent and future questions easier to answer. If you are building for the first time, perhaps the most useful question is not, does this look good? It is, who checked this? What does the project specify? And can we document it before it is hidden? One of the most enjoyable parts of this trip was driving to Benkovac to look at local stone. We are considering natural stone for our terrace, around the pool, and for the outside stairs, as well as retaining wall cladding. Looking online is not sufficient. Stone is one of those materials you really need to see in person. Color changes in sunlight. The surface feels different under your hand, and the sample that looks perfect on the screen may not work with your house facade, pool tiles, or the surrounding landscape. We spoke with the saleswoman, took samples, and got a first feeling for prices and options. We haven't made a final decision yet, but now we have something real to compare. Our kitchen will need to be ordered locally, so we wanted to understand what quality, design options, and practical running support are available close to the future house. Limited by the time, we couldn't visit all kitchen studios in Zadar, so we visited only Dan Küchen. We were not there to choose a kitchen in one afternoon. We were there to learn. What do local suppliers offer? What does the quality feel like in person? How do the cabinets, drawers, and worktops compare? And what questions should we answer before we're ready to order? It was another reminder that the decisions inside the house need to begin much earlier than you think. This visit was not sponsored. Finally, we traveled to Maribor in Slovenia to visit a Marles model house. We have seen plans, renderings, and specifications, but a real house tells you things a drawing cannot. We paid attention to the doors, windows, room sizes, ceiling heights, daylight, transition between spaces, storage, and the details you only notice when you are inside. We are also asked what's included in standard build and what is optional. This visit did not answer every question, but it helped us imagine the home we might actually live in Croatia. We liked the build quality and how every detail was carefully considered for making a comfortable home. We have confirmed that it was a right decision to choose Marles to build our prefab house. So yes, currently our Croatian plot still looks messy, but the project is not standing still. We are building knowledge, relationships, ideas, and a much clearer understanding of the decisions that are waiting for us. The next time we are here, we hope the ground itself will tell a clearer story. Until then, we will keep sharing the less visible parts of building a prefab home in Croatia. In the next video, I will share our first house design we did ourselves before we found an architect. Stay tuned and subscribe. Bye! Below this plot is also kinda sold, and they are going to build a house here as well. So we don't know what waits us in the future, what kind of view we will have.